What's going on, guys? It's Snoov 603 from Shustybang, and this is episode 2 of Snoov on PC. And today we're going to cover how to pick a game that's going to help teach you the basic controls of PC gaming. Now, before I get into it, remember this moving forward for every single episode. My goal is to be as good a player on BF3 while playing on PC as I was while playing BF3 on console. I want to be as effective a player as I always have been, being a player that is really good enough to help shift the battle in favor of his team. I'm not saying I was the greatest by any means, but I feel it was pretty good, and I want to get to that same point. I'm using BF3 as my benchmark for comparison, so if it sounds like I'm talking about it a lot in this episode and every other further episode moving forward, that is why. So for those that haven't tried making the jump from console to PC, or even vice versa, it's kind of hard to explain just how difficult this transition is. Now, obviously, the younger you are, the easier it is. That pretty much goes without saying. It's not so much that you're not as stubborn and set in your ways as someone that is older, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that you haven't spent as much time doing this one thing. So it's easier for you, as a younger player, to forget everything and try something new. Now, I've been playing on console since I was about 5 years old, and I've never really stopped gaming. I'm 28 now. That's 23 years of hammering away at a controller and never playing on a mouse or keyboard. That's 23 years of muscle memory. Most gamers can play without really having to think about what buttons you need to hit. You just do it. It becomes instinctual, and that's how I am. That's probably how just about every single gamer is. I mean, you could theoretically completely cover your hands on a controller and you wouldn't skip a beat because you don't need to look at it. It's all just instinctual, and the muscle memory is there. You know where everything is and what you need to do. So making the switch, I'm trying to forget a short lifetime of habits, instincts, and muscle memory to try to pick it up all over again, and the mechanics are nothing alike. The hardest part is the mouse and the sensitivity. So on a controller, the joystick only moves so far. On a mouse, there's no limit. You could theoretically get up and slide that bitch right across the desk and right off the edge of it if you wanted to. So I've always known that X amount of movement on a controller or joystick resulted in X movement for my character. On a mouse, I don't know what that X is yet, so my movements are very inconsistent to say the least. As far as the keyboard goes, getting used to a keyboard isn't as bad because you only need 5 to 6 keys for the absolute basics to play and do decent, and that's just to move, jump, and sprint. And sprint's not always necessary or even an option for some games though, so that's why you probably could get away theoretically with just like 5 keys. So regarding the games themselves and how I go about picking them, when I wanted to make the switch, I knew that the goal was to be as good at first-person shooters on PC as I am on console, and again, specifically Battlefield 3, so that was my goal and my focus. And I looked for games that had that same general controls, but dumbed down, much more simplified, so I only really needed half of what it takes to be a really good and effective BF3 player. If you're going to play something like StarCraft, that requires a whole different set of mechanics and key bindings and just about everything. To me, they're two totally different games. So while I didn't actually settle on this to be my go-to game to start off with, looking back and reflecting on it, one of the best games that I possibly could recommend to anyone for being a great game to pick up as your first go-to PC game is Chivalry Medieval Warfare. This game was brought to me by Jess or Epona, and I didn't realize it at first, but this fits the bill perfectly of what I'm looking for to help my transition. It's a first-person hack and basher. Uses the same keys to move and attack as a first-person shooter, but you only need the bare minimum to do that. You only need WASD for moving, shift for sprint, and space for jump. I know some people flip those, some people go with shift for jump and space for sprint, but I prefer shift for sprinting. It makes it a little bit easier. For the mouse, you only have the 2 buttons you gotta worry about. You have left click to attack and right click to block defend, and that's it. It's really just that simple. So how does a game like that help? It really helps to train your muscles and eyes and your brain to get used to a different style of play, especially the pace, as well as keeping up with the speed of your movement. I was able to get completely comfortable and 100% perfect with the keys to move my character, which is the absolute first thing you need to know how to do and perfect before you can do other things. I picked a sensitivity from a mouse that was higher than anything I've played with on console, but not so fast that it was too fast for my eyes and brain to keep up with. The general idea is to challenge yourself, but not handicap yourself. You have to find that fine line in between where it's too easy and you can really keep up with things without having to think about it, and so fast that you're just getting frustrated because you cannot keep up with it. You need to find a setting that's challenging, but not so much that you're completely helpless and useless. So my overall point, find a game that you can handle, but is still challenging. This is the beauty of PC gaming, and this is what really got me interested in the first place. It's how cheap and plentiful the games are. I latched on to Chivalry as my training game because of all the points I made earlier. It's similar to the games I want to play down the road like Battlefield 3 in that it uses the very, very basic mechanics and buttons to just move around and attack. So that's why I think Chivalry is one of the better games to use, and it still has obviously that first person aspect. It was also very cheap. Just again, to reiterate that point, it really taught me and allowed me to get comfortable and perfect and get the muscle memory down of the bare bones basics for the controls of PC gaming. And to me, that is what is most important. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up episode 2. Let me know if there's something else in this that I may have missed that you want me to cover. Kind of like what I said in episode 1. If there's something you think regarding this specific topic I may have missed, let me know. If there's something major, I will definitely cover this in like an episode 2.5 in the middle of the week, in between this and episode 3. So please, leave some feedback. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate all of the feedback you guys gave me in episode 1. Seriously, it's fantastic. If you could replicate that, I would seriously greatly appreciate it. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. I will catch you guys later.